Well, hello there. Welcome to Real WW Talk. I'm Erin.
I'm Candace.
And I'm Ricky.
Reunited and it feels so good.
I swear, we just have to do this more with the three of us. When one of us leaves, it feels like we go weeks without seeing each other.
I know.
Welcome
Well,
back,
thank you
Erin. How was
guys.
your trip?
It was amazing. Thank you so much for, putting everything together and making sure that our Real WW Talk community had a conversation they could hold on to. I'm partway through your conversation from last week, and I listened to it on my walk today, and I was like, man, I'm talking back to you as I'm walking, and people, I'm sure, thought I was absolutely bonkers, but I don't care.
In true WW Talk fashion, everyone talks to each other. That's fine.
Exactly. So my week actually was really great. I had a conference that I was part of volunteering with, and also doing some instructing with, and then also some learning with, and it was just 360, absolutely amazing to be with people I haven't seen in years, and even people that I have talked to for a decade and I've never met in person. I actually met in person. It was just professionally fulfilling and personally fulfilling, and I did not want it to end, but there's no place like home. I mean, we hit back home, so we're in the Baltimore, Washington area, and I came through BWI, and the minute I see that Maryland flag, because we've got Maryland pride hardcore here, felt my heart like start to just so happy.
You're like, I'm home. I'm home.
I'm home. And then I got on the scale and I was down 2.5 pounds.
Wow.
Right. Right.
Great.
Bravo fingers here. And, I'm sure it probably might level out just a little bit, just because I was in, conference food land. But I will say that just as an encouragement for anybody who's concerned about doing a conference or concerned about doing vacation. I really focused on my fruits and my vegetables. And I hit my breakfast. I kept really simple because I couldn't eat anything else in the hotel, but I had egg salad every day. This is my travel egg salad recipe. 2 eggs, use a plastic knife, chop it up in a cup that you found, and stir in 2 packets of mayonnaise and a packet of mustard and salt and pepper, and then you've got egg salad.
I was gonna say, I saw you post that. I said that is ingenious. The only thing I need to figure out, I was like, well, what wrap is that? Because there's certain things you can't use. So
I brought my
found
own
a
bread
wrap.
with me.
Okay.
And it's Bee Free is the name of the bread, and it's a pita bread, and for me, it's 3 personal points for the bread. So I made sure that I had bread with me, and I had protein bars, and I had supplemental food for myself because I knew that it was going to be really difficult, and it was. But I'm also really proud of myself because I advocated for myself. The one night there was literally not a single thing that I could eat on the buffet. And so I just went up to the waiter and said, "Hey, I put on my conference reservation that these are my allergies. And I really appreciate that you have allergen tags on the food so everybody knows what it is. But there isn't anything on here that is gluten-free, dairy-free, and nut-free together." And they went, "Oh, hold on a second." And so what they did is they went down to their restaurant below and got me a dish from the restaurant below. And then they had mango sorbet, and they brought me mango sorbet for dessert because I couldn't eat any of the desserts. So, and I brought my own desserts with me. I brought my little dairy-free chocolate bars. It was wonderful. But what I loved about it is I wasn't focused on food. I was really focused on people and interacting with people. And I had my trusty apple with me. And if I got hungry, I pulled my apple out, or I pulled my protein bar out. But I wasn't absorbed with food. And that I was really happy about. So
It sounds like there's a lot of wins. I mean, not just the advocacy for yourself, which I just love, with you being able to say, look, I don't have the things that I need here. And so what are you going to do about it? Because I need you to do something about it.
Yep.
But also packing ahead and making sure that you did have those supplemental things for the dessert or for the, whatever it is that you needed. Those are things that sometimes don't come naturally for those to do, especially going on a trip. You tend to kind of like go and think that you'll just get stuff when you're there, but planning ahead and all of that. And not only did it pay off on the scale, but it seems like just mentally overall, you're really expressing a lot of positivity about not just the trip, and it
Yeah.
wasn't obsessive. You weren't obsessive about food. There's
Yeah.
so many wins.
No. There's so
Yeah.
much fear when it comes to the food allergy part. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of fear because if I eat one thing wrong, I'm out for 36 hours. I'm out.
Mhm.
But I told myself that I was not going to approach this with fear. I'm going to have life-giving thoughts, right? And haven't we talked about that? And I'm just going to prepare the best way that I can. And then I'll advocate for the best way that I can. And I
Mhm.
did. And I feel great. It was an awesome time. So,
Bravo.
That's such a great attitude
yay.
to have. I'm sure that contributed to your success and to why you were able to just go and say what you needed and make those choices and focus on the relationships and not the food. So bravo.
Yay.
How
All
was
right.
your week, Ricky?
My week was good. So last week I shared that I had gone to the ER, and it was definitely like a week of learning kind of what was going on with me. So it's nothing major. I just had I found out this week when I saw my primary care doctor that I have gastritis. I've never had anything like that before. It's just a temporary condition of like inflammation of your esophagus and stomach lining. It just sometimes comes from just what you've ingested or drank. So it was kind of surprising to have something like that because I've never had acid reflux or anything like that. But as we get older, as we, I think our bodies change, and it was a good wake up call for me to just focus on what I needed for sustenance and for, nutrition and all of that versus just what do I want. So that was a shift this week for me. And, I think, Candace, we've seen this year with you with, when you have that fear of what could happen, when you get that medical result, and Erin, even you sharing how your food allergies kind of put fear in you at times. And I definitely felt that fear this week because, go to the internet and you see, well, what could this be? Gastritis could lead to this. If it's ongoing, it could lead to stomach cancer or their ulcers, all kinds of things. And, I didn't go down that rabbit hole very far, but it's still with me.
You went down far enough.
I did. I did. I think when I saw some of those things, I'm like, let me close this because this is not where I am. Let me be in reality while I'm, looking up some of these things. But the thing that was helpful was to look up foods that were acidic and that I need to stay away from. I haven't had coffee in 7 days, 6, 7, 8 days. Yeah. Chocolate, I've been really, I've had little bits of chocolate, but chocolate is acidic. So I've been staying away from that. Some of the things I do like, sugar, I've been eating less sugar. Some of the like citrusy things, lemon, oranges, pineapple, all of that. But it's been a week of really just adjusting. And, even though this is a temporary thing, I want this adjustment to be permanent because I don't want to experience anything like this again. So yeah, that's been my week.
That's always kind of crazy, like when you do have something that does happen, whether it's temporary or not, you notice how quickly you can change and kind of say, oh no, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to have this symptom. I don't want my gastritis to flare up. I don't want to feel bad. So, I think it's a great reminder that you can do it. And wonderful that you chose to. Some people still, I know personally people who have been told that certain things can really flare up their condition and they just continue to eat it or to do it. So, the fact that you have gone 7 days for you, I know coffee is something that you really enjoy. Not that coffee is bad, but you said, this is something that I don't want to do right now to help support where I am and what's going on in my body. So that is just a major win. And you were able to make that shift with something that you love, shows you can do it.
It sounds like you've kind of received like 2 warning signs, and you're taking both of these warning signs the way that we most of us would, right? Really, really seriously. And I love to Ricky hearing that it's not just to get over this hump, of it, that this is, hey, okay, this is happening, but I'm just going to choose to incorporate this in my forward motion that I'm already making. I'm already making this forward motion. This is a little piece that's come out of it. And it now actually what it's done is actually give you even more direction. It's giving you more of a path to be able to follow for your wholeness and for your wellness.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I do enjoy the plan, but I think there's times where I just want a list of things, like, what should I eat? Tell me what. Some days I just do want someone to tell me what to eat. So I think having a list of things to stay away from was kind of helpful in that way for me this week, and ongoing. Yeah.
Candace, how about you?
Yeah, how was your week?
My week was really good. I continue my big focus, and for those who are in our Facebook group and maybe even on some of our social media, you may see a pattern with me that my focus is movement really in this season. I not that I have conquered food. I would never say that because that's just not true. But movement has been a big part of this part of my journey because it makes me feel really good. And this past week, I was able to incorporate getting on the bike more. And that felt wonderful. And not just for like 15 minutes, doing 30, possibly 45-minute rides, when that, that hasn't been something that I've been able to do, for a while. So that's been wonderful. And I was really happy to do that. The scale, going through this kind of chemo journey, sometimes when I'm on certain medications, the scale goes up and then it comes back down. So I've been able to kind of shift my focus from needing the validation of the scale to know that I'm doing well. It's been more so, do I feel good about the choices, what I'm putting in my body, and am I moving? Yeah. And am I giving myself what I need during this very stressful time for my body? So yeah, all of that's been working out really, really well. And on a chemo that's supposed to make me gain weight, I am down. I shared with Ricky, I was down 10 pounds for the month of May.
Amazing.
But more so, I am still feeling really strong. And I'm really happy about that.
And that 10 pounds represents consistency, discipline, hard work. Yep. It didn't just fall off.
No,
it didn't happen by thinking about it. You have been laser focused, and I would say you haven't been laser focused on losing weight. You've been laser focused on your health. And I think those are two very, very different things, because when we're laser focused on consuming the right nutrition and using movement for our mental health and for our physical health, that scale portion will come along with it at some point.
Yeah. I think having a laser focused why is, and that's something they were talking about in the meetings, because I did an online meeting. I'm hoping to get back to the meeting room once or so, but I have to be so careful right now. But they were talking about how close is your why? Like, do you keep your why close by? And I was like 100% every single day recently. My why's right here. I'm trying to get through a very taxing time, and come on the other side of this, not just victorious, but setting myself up for long. So when you were talking to Ricky, Aaron, one of the things you said was, this isn't just right now. This is something that, would be long term. Those are the changes that we're all making. So I heard that as a correlation in all of us sharing our weekly updates. Yeah. Aaron's like, this is what these things make me feel really bad for 36 hours. Ricky, I don't want to feel the effects of the gastritis. Me, I'm like, I am fighting breast cancer. I am trying to kill this cancer. I'm not going to do this, so, that's so important.
All of us are fighting for our lives right now.
Absolutely.
You have a little bit different because it's so present with chemo and cancer, and we associate cancer with death, right? We'll just put that out there. But we don't also associate poor food choices and poor food habits with death, because those seem so far off and so long distance, and we might be able to take a medication for it. But the reality is, we're fighting for life, good life that lets us live in freedom without constantly having this thing hanging over our head. Will I ever be fit enough? Will I ever be skinny enough? Or I don't look like her, right? Comparison, all of those even thoughts that don't give life. So sometimes we have a very clear right in front of us, fight for our life. And sometimes our why is a little bit out here on the peripheral where we can't see it, but we're still fighting. We're still fighting for the same thing.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's talk about today, because this is a theme that we're noticing in the Real WW Talk Facebook group, and you are welcome to join. We would love you to have you join in. If you go to Facebook, just search Real WW Talk and answer those little questions to get in, so we know that you're not a bot, and we'll let you in. We love you as part of the conversation. But we're hearing the theme of stuck a lot right now. I feel stuck. I'm 8 days into the program and I feel like I'm eating the same things. I've been doing this for however many years and I just feel like I'm never going to conquer this. And so I just wanted to bring it because we have all felt in places the stuckness, and maybe see if we could talk about it. Because Candace, you also even brought up something when we were just having our own private conversation, that it's not even just about the food being stuck, but even emotionally stuck on this journey. What do you think? What are you thinking?
Just thinking that when I was seeing some of those posts, how I completely understand how you can get to that space. I mean, especially we joke about how long we've been doing this plan. And for me, I felt that feeling of stuckness when I was still kind of focused more on diet mentality and not lifestyle. Because, you know, when you first start out, you want to do everything exactly right. And I'm going to says you have to do it this way. And then you do this. And I'm going to eat these things. And that led to a lot of burnout for me because I was very, very conservative in my food choices. I didn't try new recipes. I was obsessive about counting my points and left no room for life. And not to say that life can't happen while counting points, but it was very rigid. And I'm finding that as I have adopted the lifestyle of it, which means I give myself a lot of grace, it's become a lot more manageable. Meaning I have some days where I guess I'm really on, and some days where I don't know, I may not be as on, but I don't use it as a way to gauge or to show how perfection, surprisingly, is not as required. And that takes time to get to. I think it's definitely an understandable place to be. And I don't know if there's a completely right answer, but I do find that when I'm in diet mentality, that's when I tend to feel more stuck. What do you guys think?
I think it's easy to also get stuck with exercise and things like that and get in the same kind of perfectionist mindset with what we're going to do to work out. Like I have to do an hour at the gym. And if I don't do that, then I haven't done well enough and then I'm bad. And then, you know, if you're already labeling food choices as good or bad, and you're labeling yourself then as good or bad, are you then more likely to say, well, I'm being bad today, I'm not working out, I'm going to go through the drive-through, or I'm going to eat an extra, you know, serving of chocolate or whatever it is. But I think the exercise can get in a rut too, and we kind of minimize the smaller things like going for a walk, or just doing a strength workout. I think sometimes those things seem small to us when they're really just as powerful as doing, you know, 30 minutes, an hour of cardio.
Yeah, Ricky, I really identify with that exercise stuckness and then also food stuckness. And I feel like for me, the food stuckness comes when I am obsessive about losing weight that week. And I feel less stuck when I'm not obsessive about that. And I've realized that I need variety until I don't, because I have to figure out what's going to work for me. And I love that we're moving into summer and there's this whole new plethora of fruits and vegetables and cooked and uncooked foods that I feel really excited about. But I don't mind telling you that I've had 2 turkey sandwiches today with sliced cucumbers and grapes for lunch and for dinner, and some barbecue potato chips, some Utz barbecue ripple potato chips. That's what I've had for lunch and dinner. And I feel happy with it. I feel good with it. You know, praise the Lord, I'm a single person, so I don't have to make food for everybody else. So it's acceptable for me. But I'm in the mood for that right? So at
Mhm.
some other point though, I'm going to go like, oh, I'm eating another turkey sandwich. Oh, I'm eating
Mhm.
cucumber slices again,
Mhm.
right?
I'm just so glad that you gave the qualifier because I will tell you, I thought that you were trying to qualify that, like try to say that was a binge. And I was like, I had some turkey and cucumbers and grapes. And Lord, I can't believe myself. I had two of them. I was going to say, Aaron, come back, come back.
Nope.
I know that you've
Oh
done
no,
really well and you've changed your diet, but it's still not a binge,
that
okay?
is
That's not,
not a
it's
binge.
not
Oh
something to feel
no.
upset about. but but no, I get your point, which is
Do you
that.
get like where the
Yes.
boredom can set
Mhm.
in? You know,
Yeah.
if I
Mhm.
keep doing that, that's where it's going to get boredom. And so it's trying to figure out really being intentional about switching up foods. And maybe
Mhm.
crazy, maybe one week you don't do any meal prep. That's going to sound really crazy. But what I mean by that is maybe instead of focusing and doing major meal prep and having to cook everything from scratch, maybe this week is a rotisserie chicken week.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
all of your meals are they're just more simple and it's made of maybe some pre-purchased ingredients that instead of having to go assemble a bunch of things, you know that you can reach in and go get some turkey, you can go, get some coleslaw or something like that. You've got your points figured out and it's just no
Mhm.
brainer
Yeah.
kind of
I
things.
I love you said that, Erin, because I, as a single gal myself, sometimes I feel like meal prep can set me up for failure. I know that sounds horrible, but if
No.
I over prep or if I cook something that has too many servings, if I don't have something different planned for midweek, I'm like, I'm sick of this dish. I've had it 2 days in a row. I don't want it a third day. And that's where I kind of, if I don't have an alternate, like frozen thing that I could heat up quickly, I historically, not anymore, but I historically have said, I'm just going to go through a drive through. I'm
Mhm.
going to get something quick. I'm going to get some snacks to go with this, and then I'll eat like a couple bites of it and then eat some chips or whatever with it.
Mhm.
So I think, and this doesn't apply to everyone, but I think especially if you aren't sharing your meal with as many people, it can be a lot harder to prepare yourself for success because you have so much of it, the same thing.
There's a great YouTube channel that I love. It's Downshiftology, and the woman who runs it, her name is Lisa. And I mean, all of her videos are just super, I hate to call them health conscious because that feels like that puts it in a category where it can sound negative. But for those of us who are, working on a healthier lifestyle, those all of her videos revolve around really clean eating. But she does a concept that I never thought about before. And her meal prep isn't meal prep like the actual meals. She
Mhm.
she meal preps ingredients. She'll
Okay.
batch cook chicken. She'll batch cook some sweet potato slices. She'll batch cook a couple different vegetables, and then she'll make 2 or 3 sauces. And then
Mhm.
she will take those and make multiple meals throughout the week. So everything is a little bit different, and you keep your variety in there, but
Mhm.
you've got it sitting there in the refrigerator for you. So it's not
Mhm.
all the same thing all the time.
Mhm.
I love that.
And something else that I discovered, and single or not, I think that we all can deal with monotony when it comes to, what you're eating. The value of freezing. Like I didn't
Mhm.
recognize that you can. I felt like
Ooh.
if I made something and it was something that could have lasted for several days, I was obligated to eat it every
Mhm.
single day. There's something to saying, you know what, I'm finished with that. My son's agreeing. Sorry. But
He's like, "Get it out of the freezer, ma."
he's like, "Get it out." But there's something to being able to say, like, "I am done with this, and I can freeze it because I might want to have it, I don't know, a month
2
from
months
now or
later?
2 months
Yeah.
Mhm.
later," and
Mhm.
making another recipe. That's okay to do,
Mhm.
and that actually gave me freedom to try new things. In addition to what you're saying, Aaron, which is coming up with different things to do. Like if you take a rotisserie
Mhm.
chicken, do I make a quesadilla with it today with some of the
Mhm.
chicken breasts? Or then do the next time do I put it in a salad? And I
Mhm.
think you have to kind of think outside of the box. But freezing
Yeah.
to me was like, duh, why do
Mhm.
I feel like
Yeah.
I have to eat all of this right now?
So
Mhm.
now I feel like I wanna take that back. Meal prep isn't the problem, it's the variety with and how we're prepping. Because I actually did that this week. I think, Erin, at one point, you told me that Costco had chicken, like just chicken breasts, but I had never gotten it. But this week I was like going to Costco. I'm getting like 2 things, getting breakfast sandwiches, and I looked for the chicken. I found it. I feel like it's almost too much chicken breast. I probably should have frozen it half of it right away. But I took a baggie of it with my salad ingredients to work to have salad for lunch. And the rest, I had a quesadilla for dinner. It's like, Candace, like you read my mind. But I also was like, I could make a chicken wrap because I have tortillas, like low carb tortillas. There's so many things. And chicken, I mean, I know we talked about that a few weeks ago, but it's so versatile.
It is. Do you think some of the I feel stuck is less about I feel stuck and more of I'm tired of doing this?
Yes, I think it's that. I think there's a lot of I'm tired of doing this. I'm tired of having to be aware. It's program fatigue. I think, Ricky, when we were laughing about it, I want to, and I also think that there's a thought that other people don't have to do this, and why do I have to?
100%.
Yeah.
And sometimes we can take the plan or the boundary and view it very negatively, as opposed to viewing it, in a way to say this is something that helps me. But is there anything wrong? And maybe I'm throwing another question in with your question, but is there anything wrong with taking a break from doing things like counting? That, that's why they had the different plans at one point, like for people who are like, or even now, they'll say, I just want to focus on a healthy lifestyle. I don't really want to focus on losing weight.
Well, WW put something out on their Instagram about a month ago because that was a question. Am I going to have to track forever? And they went, no. That's the whole point of learning these healthy habits, is so that you don't have to track every single day moving forward. But right now, when you're in weight loss mode and this is what you want to do, then you want to track. But it's all about learning the foods that you're eating that lead towards those healthy habits that lead to either maintenance at the scale or loss at the scale. So I would say, I mean, WW spoke on and said you don't have to do that. Like that's hopefully that's the future, is you don't have to track all the time. I will tell you, I didn't track it all this week. I didn't track it all this week while I was away. I had no idea where I was on anything. And all I did was just look at the food that I was putting in my mouth and went, is this going to sustain me today? Is it going to sustain me today for everything that I need to do? Or is this sustaining an emotion? And I will say that when it comes to desserts, I'm sustaining emotions. I did.
Do you see that growth though? I guess that's
Yeah.
the point. The fact that you didn't need to, and I found that too. This topic comes up a lot when we're talking about vacations. When people are like, I want to go on vacation and I don't want to count points. I want to feel free to eat whatever I want. That's usually where it starts. I want to eat whatever I want, and I don't want to have to be, focused on all of this. And a lot of times now, some people really do go off the rails because they're like, I don't have a boundary. I'm just not.
Right. So can we just say, you said, I want to go off the rails, but I would love for us even to change the language around that and not even say I'm going off the rails. It's I'm choosing not to adhere to the values that I've started promising myself I would make. Because I think that increases the ownership over the food choices, so that when we come back to it, right, we'll say like, oh, I slipped up. Well, you didn't slip up. The food didn't accidentally land in your mouth. We have to take ownership over that. I know that can sound really hard, but that's part of this journey, is owning that we've made this choice. And if someone decides, you know what, I am going to make the choice to eat whatever I want this week, regardless of what happens at the scale, and I've already mentally processed that I'm probably going to gain 5 pounds, but I'm not going to beat myself up, then big whoop, do it.
And I think that that's, again, why those topics come up during vacation, during Thanksgiving, during the holidays. I'll never forget when they used to have that topic, and they'd say, well, what do you want to do during this time? Do you want to gain weight? Do you want to sustain your weight? Or do you want to lose weight? And I would be like, lose weight. Who wants to gain weight? And there was one person in the meeting room who would always say, well, I want to gain, or maybe I'd be okay with gaining 3 pounds. And I was like, you're going to on purpose gain 3 pounds, loser. Instead of saying that's really, for what they want to do, that makes sense to me to say, obviously, I'm not going to maybe not obviously, maybe you really do fully intend on trying to figure out a way to put 3 pounds on your body. Or what you're really saying is, I would like to be able to eat as I see fit. And if I do give into some of the things that are emotional or not, I'm not going to beat myself up because this is what I want to do for that time. And even that little bit could give you a reset where you can then come back and say, I now choose to be in more of a weight loss mode. And these are the things I know I need to do that. Or I want to stay maintaining. Aaron, you just did it for a few months where you said, I am not really focused on losing weight. I really just want to maintain my weight. I'm walking still. I'm still like, I'm not eating without abandon. I'm focusing on what my body's telling me, but my goal isn't weight loss right now.
Yep.
Why is that not okay? If you need that mental break, that to me is healthy.
Right. And if you're going away on vacation, it's the mental break of being able to say, hey, I'm going to be having all kinds of different food choices. And to what we've talked about before, I can't get this food here. Like Candace, you've talked about your barbecue place. I can't get this here. I am going to enjoy the mac and cheese, the hush puppies. I'm going to do the brisket. I'm going to pour the barbecue sauce over it. I'm not dipping the meat in the barbecue. I'm pouring it over it. I'm going to eat it on the bread. Right? Like,
Y'all, could we all just pray for me that one of the side effects of chemo is that food can taste not as good? Can we just stand in agreement that this Pierce's barbecue sandwich that I am going to have in 2 weeks will still taste as amazing as I remember it? Because Lord, if there's any chemo side effect, forget nausea. If the barbecue sandwich doesn't taste the same, what is life? Forget everything else. Forget everything else.
I want the sandwich.
I just want the sandwich to taste the same.
Ricky, what are you thinking?
So my thing is that I'm curious about is when we're on vacation, I'm just thinking about times that I've been before, and I'm kind of wondering, I know that I love food. I absolutely know that I love food, but is there a passive aggressive part of me that's like, I know that skinny person over there is eating that donut. I'm going to have a donut too because I like donuts, or, and I don't know if it's that like obvious of a conversation in the front of my head, but I think part of some of the choices I'm making are impulsive because I'm like, well, why can't I? Is it really that I want that donut or whatever it is? Or is it that I'm trying to make a point to myself that I'm losing? I'm really losing that fight because if I eat all these things, I'm going to gain the 5-10 vacation pounds versus, making choices because it's something special or it's something unique to that. Like I'm thinking about a cruise. Like, is there something unique that I can only get on a cruise or only get in this destination spot? I don't know. I'm just thinking about that because I think sometimes that comparison can really make us think that we want something more than we really do.
100%, Ricky.
Yep.
I just had to say that you're not alone in that.
Yeah. I think
Aaron fixed it, right?
Right. I love that you asked that question. One of the things that I'm curious about, not that I'm beating myself about, but I'm curious and I'm examining that because I think that also goes back to the root of value of and feeling deprived. And maybe it's switching the language for ourselves saying, I can have that. I can have this right now. Why do I really want this? Is it because I'm hungry? Is it because I can't get it elsewhere? I can do it. Do I really want it? And again, that comparison piece, looking at what someone else has and wanting what they have is never a healthy thing for us.
Yeah.
But I also don't think it's also, and I'm learning this just with all the different journeys that I'm on, it's also not rooted in truth. You don't know, are you really comparing apples to apples? That's all I'm saying. So if you're looking and you're seeing that they're eating, I don't know, a slice of cake and you're like, they get to eat cake, I'm going to eat cake too. And it's not fair. We don't know what they ate throughout the rest of the day. We don't know anything about, how that fit into, did they exercise? Did they not? We don't know. But
or that they're on WW
and they counted it. So they're like, we actually are doing the exact same thing. But
maybe they've had vegetables all day,
and that's my point. But I think that that's something that we do, and it's a trick to kind of make you feel like everybody else gets to do this and I don't. And so therefore I'm deprived and you're not, Ricky. You and I have talked about how similar we are with that. You're not going to tell me that I can't do what other people can do. I'm 5. Okay. And it's not fair. And I'm going to have cake too, because you can't tell me that.
I
And
want it.
it's not the same. I didn't do everything that that person did,
Mhm.
or I did, and I just
Mhm.
didn't know it. So,
Yeah.
that's something that I always try to remind myself when I am looking at comparison is that, is it
Mhm.
true? Do I have facts to show that what I'm thinking of that person and what I'm thinking about what they're doing, is it
Mhm.
really accurate? Am I comparing the two
Mhm.
are the two things actually the same?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I
So
think there's also abundance in there too, believing or not believing that we don't already have everything that we need.
hmm, that's a good point. And similar to what you said earlier, Aaron, like, in the meeting I went to, I think it was Saturday, the leader was saying, "What is this food gonna do for me?" Like, almost saying to the food, "What are you gonna do for me? What are you gonna do for me or to me?" And it's like, I could take 5 bites of this, but whoever made me mad or whatever person I was comparing myself to that also ate 5 bites of the cake or whatever it is, it's the cake they ate, it's gonna digest in their body and do whatever it does. The cake I eat is gonna digest in my body and, add to whatever, I have in my body. If I have high cholesterol or I'm pre-diabetic, all those things, that's gonna impact me and not them. So why am I
Mhm.
so concerned about what other people are eating or, it's not fair? Well, this food is could be toxic to me, but am I
Mhm.
going to choose to make that choice and eat it anyway? Right now I'm saying no.
Mhm. I think that's a great question. What is this going to do for me?
Mhm.
Because it actually puts you, what I keep hearing these things, it keeps putting you back in the driver's seat. When we ask those kinds of questions, it puts you in the driver's seat. You are not below food. None of us are below food where it's overwhelming us, right? And it's actually having to lift ourselves up and being in control of it and
Mhm.
giving ourselves permission to be in control. Maybe before where we have felt tension between ourselves and food and the
Mhm.
idea of food. I mean, I remember the times where I feel like I couldn't even be in my house because it felt like the kitchen was sitting right here and the food that I knew was in the kitchen was right here, and that's
Mhm.
all I could think about. And it wasn't until I started doing some serious work on why do I feel like I can't even exist in my house because like it's here. Why am I not in charge right now? And I think that's where like worth, value, and no, this I'm the one in charge of food. And I'm not a loser to food. Food doesn't win over me. I'm the one that says what's going in my mouth. That started making some changes, but I don't mind saying like every now and then that will creep in and pop up, especially at the holidays. And especially when I've been deprived because everybody has really delicious foods and I'm sitting over here making egg salad sandwiches
Yeah.
again, right?
But I think until you've had the physical repercussion, sometimes, like that's just been naturally hard. That's why I've been on this journey for a very long time. If it
Mhm.
were before I had this diagnosis, I hate to say it, it was a lot tougher for me to be more resolute about putting what I needed or what I knew I needed to do in the forefront. Aaron, you said for 36 hours, if you were to have something, one of the things that is going to make you feel bad, it's really going to make you sick. Ricky, again, recently, it's like why is it that it has taken that? My worth wasn't enough before this for
Right.
me to say
Mhm.
no to the cupcake or to say no to the things I wanted to. I intellectually understood that I should. I felt like we've overanalyzed
Mhm.
for 2+ years all the different angles of why I should
Mhm.
have. But for me, it took the physical, like, this is something that is not in alignment with giving me life when I'm trying to work on making sure my life is here and I'm here for a long time. Um, and you don't want anybody to have to get to that point. And that's what
Mhm.
you're trying to help people, like, please don't be me. Please don't do that.
Mhm.
But there's a worth factor there too that really,
Mhm.
can make it tough to say, because if you didn't have that physical repercussion, Aaron, maybe you would have still been strong enough to say, no, I need you to bring me the other plate. I
Mhm.
need you
Mhm.
to, because this is what I value me and you will do this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or maybe you would not have. And if you hadn't, that's another thing. Ricky, if you weren't ever having a gastritis flare up, then you may have said, I'm going to have coffee this morning,
Mhm.
because I'm just going to have a little bit, because you don't have anything that's stopping you
Mhm.
physically.
Right.
So that's a whole nother conversation, but that's just something that I see as a thing. If it's your worth isn't there, if your self-worth and your feeling of I'm worth it and I don't need the physical.
Yeah.
That's where we're all striving to get to.
I'll tell you one that I'm
Yeah.
struggling with right now. It's knowing what I need to do and I'm not doing it. And I've made the decision that I am going to do it. But so I've been doing all of my walking and I love all of my walking and I'm not giving it up. But I need to start doing strength training. I need to start, and not out of a pump you up kind of thing, but every day doing some squats, doing some arm things, nothing outrageous. That's the thing, is I don't want to do the outrageous stuff, but I've seen the data. I've seen women my age. I've seen what it means when you aren't doing strength training. And I've even heard from Diane in our meeting who said, man, I wish I had started this sooner. And she's in incredible shape. And I'm like, here I have someone who is the definition of a why, and I still haven't done it yet because I always feel like I need something. I need a reason why to do it other than just for your own health for when you're 60. So my bridge until I can get to that place where I matter enough, like right now with my walking, I matter enough. I'm not going to stop walking, right? Nothing's getting in the way with that. I've got a trip to Colorado coming up in 2 months, and I want to make sure that I can hike. And if I've got to, again, be slinging some boxes and things, I want to make sure that I am, strong and fit to be able to do that. So for right now, I'm going to be training for Colorado, but using it as my building block for future, if that makes sense. Like, this is my temporary why that hopefully, as I get along with that, will be the thing that's kind of kicking myself in gear. But even if it isn't, it's going to be rolling in my head that this is what I need to do. I just need to do it.
Well, I'm there with you. We can all do that together because I'm queen of cardio. And one thing the doctors, everyone said is, with your core is going to be important when you go into the surgery piece once I'm past chemo. And I'm like, right. But they said I was going to gain weight and I'm going to lose weight because cardio is going to make me lose weight. I don't really know how to do the strength training piece, so I'll do that later. But I'm going to do it. But I'm going to do it later. No. What does that mean? Like, later never comes. And that's such a presumptuous thing that you think you get a later.
Yes.
Ooh. And we just talk about that. Like, that's just very, very presumptuous that you think you have all this time to do things. How about you do 4 sit-ups today, or you take the 3-pound weights and use them when you walk? What makes you think that you can't do that now? And doing it, I think it's more not thinking about it as much. And that's what I'm talking to myself. It's more, that's a great thought. How about we do some action? Because I'm tired of thinking about it.
Yes.
What action are we doing today?
Feet first, and the head will follow.
Thank you, Heather. Our first meeting coach taught us that.
Yes.
Love it. All right. Well, we're going to let Heather have the last word on that first, and your head will follow. Because I think, honestly, when we come down to being stuck and getting ourselves unstuck, sometimes it's about not overthinking it. And it's like you're saying, Candace, just do it. Just do it. And your head will get in the gear eventually.
Don't be presumptuous.
And don't be
tomorrow.
That's right. Well, we always love having our weekly conversations with you. And thank you so much for hanging in with us while our schedules have been a little wonky, in part to Candace's cancer journey, in part to my weird work schedule and conference stuff. And Ricky's been like our little rock here, always sitting right there. Bless you, Ricky. She's been consistent. But we just thank you for hanging in with us while we've just been on the journeys. And it's life, right? This is life. You can always check us out, as we said earlier, the Facebook group. Just search Real WW Talk there. You can find us on Instagram as well as on YouTube if you want to see what we look like. And also our podcast, if you want to pop us in your pocket and go for a nice, gentle walk or fast walk or run, whatever you choose, go for it. You do you. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.